Well, here we are at a beautiful location in Bristol, Indiana, the home of Bob and Helen Keller. And I'll tell you what, Mark, when we take a look at this house, how beautiful it is, and the landscaping that you've done at Linton's, we have to roll it back a year or so to what it looked like then, and what a transformation.
It's all about curb appeal, Craig,
Yeah.
and you're right. Absolutely beautiful home, a lot of nice architectural detail on the house, but unfortunately you couldn't see and appreciate it from the street because where we are standing and almost all the way across the front towards the driveway, we had a thick, dense woods.
Well, maybe someone at home is thinking, you know, I can relate to that. I have that situation going on, and if that might be you, Mark would be the person to call to find out exactly what can be done. Now, the homeowners here, Mark, I have a feeling kind of like the process of having some shade and some trees, but they wanted to be seen a little bit, and they're getting some of that exposure now that you've cleaned things out.
You're exactly correct. And we wanted to maintain a very woodsy, natural type of look, but we wanted to be in control and not Mother Nature.
And Mother Nature was in full control.
She was, and so much control that we were struggling to grow grass here.
Yeah.
And you know, something that's as important as this is right out front and center. It just really wasn't adding that much beauty. And so that's what got the ball rolling. And so what we did was go around here and identify all the trees that we wanted to save and keep. And that was the very first thing of the process.
Yeah, it's really difficult, isn't it, to make grass look strong and vibrant in a shaded area.
Even shady grass needs some sun, and we had some areas here, especially around the outer edge of the woods, and we just pretty much had dirt.
Well, Mark, let's kind of work our way toward the center of the landscaping here, maybe by starting right where we're at now. Talk a little bit more about what you got going on.
Certainly. Well, Craig, we wanted this woodsy natural look, and so we chose bark as a ground cover, and instead of bark nuggets or chunks, we went with this double shredded hardwood bark mulch. And this will allow the homeowner to easily do leaf removal in the fall without really disturbing much of the bark. Where if you've got those bark chunks, when you're doing leaf removal, a lot of that bark is being removed at the same time.
I wouldn't think that most of us would even give that a second thought, but that's really great thinking.
We not only have bark as a ground cover, we also have an island bed which has some stone ground cover. A little closer up to the house, a little different type of design there, a little bit more of a formal type of look, and it's okay to mix the two. And what Helen wanted was constant color around here, and so we've got it designed so you've got spring blooming, summer blooming, and fall color. And right here in front of us are these beautiful black-eyed Susans, and performing incredibly well. These will continue to bloom all the way up until frost in the fall.
What is maybe the biggest mistake we can make, Mark, if you have a property such as this, when choosing color even in a wooded area? Yellow really seems to really stand out and complement. Are there things that we should watch out for and not do?
We're looking for a contrast of colors, and because of the bark mulch is a dark brown, we went with lighter colors. You know, red is absolutely striking and beautiful, as well as burgundies and purples, but you put that with the dark brown here, it would actually tend to blend in.
Really?
Now, when we go over to the island bed, you're going to see a beautiful red Japanese lace leaf maple. It would not work here, but it works out very well there with the stone ground cover.
Before we leave this bed, talk a little bit about first impressions. When you began to put things together here, Mark, you thought maybe you had enough barrier, but it seemed like you needed to do a little more here to provide some security and maybe even some cover.
We're looking for a visual block. Unfortunately, when we took away the heavily wooded area here, the side of the neighbor's house became extremely visible. And it's a beautiful home, but we wanted to soften it. And so, again, we're in control of creating the woods. We've added these beautiful hemlocks, which do well in sun. They also thrive in shade. Also gives us a year-round coverage 12 months out of the year because these are in the evergreen family. We didn't want to have a wall or a solid screen here, and so we staggered these and really wanted it to just look like a part of nature.
Yeah, they complement what Mother Nature has done a long time ago.
Thank you. We also added some other ornamentals, trees. Here we've got a summer blooming dogwood, which is very unusual. Up around the house, we've got a spring blooming dogwood, and this is a Chinese dogwood, just finished up blooming. Blooms the entire month of June and continues to bloom with those beautiful white flowers into July.
So if you're on this side of the dogwood and you kind of peek around the side and look toward the driveway, you're going to see the center island, and that's where we're heading right now. And you've done some different work there, and you mentioned it earlier, Mark, but the ground cover here is stone rather than the bark.
Yes, I'm looking for something a little different and more of a formal type of look as you pull into the drive to blend in with the existing landscape, which also has stone ground cover. Nice focal point here with the red Japanese lace leaf maple. We've got some contrast color with these lime ricky coral bells, which bloomed in the springtime. Those attract hummingbirds and butterflies. And then we've got our moonbeam coreopsis, which will continue to bloom spring, summer, and fall, all the way up until frost.
Very good. Well, I tell you what, you've done a wonderful job here, and we're standing right on probably the biggest part of your job in some ways, right? I mean, it covers more square footage than anything, and that's the sod that's lying where there was no grass at one time.
Exactly. And so what we did was bring in some good quality topsoil here. We had some very uneven ground. It gave us a chance or opportunity to make it easy to mow. We did all the fine grading here, worked with the irrigation contractor to adjust an existing irrigation system. And of course, nothing is any better than sod. It is instant grass. Craig, when we install sod, it is at least 2 years old. And so if you're considering seeding a lawn and you want to look like sod, you've got to be very patient. It's a long process and takes at least a couple of years.
Yeah, personally, I love sod, but boy, you mentioned the topsoil. That is critically important, isn't it?
It is. Grass really doesn't like sandy soil conditions, so we brought in some good quality topsoil. And of course, with the woods being here, we also already had some rich loamy type of soil from all those leaves decaying over the years.
Thinking that didn't hurt, did it?
Absolutely not.
Well, I tell you, Bob and Helen, they couldn't be more pleased with what Mark has done and his crew at Linton's. Probably Bob, maybe Helen too, would have an idea or two in their mind, wouldn't they, about what they like best?
Let's bring them on out.
Okay. Well, Helen and Bob Keller are here with us. They are the homeowners, and what a beautiful job Linton's has done here on their beautiful property. And Helen, a joy to be here with you today. You've been here a while, but Linton's has kind of changed the way your home looks.
Sure has.
What do you like most about what they've done?
I like all the variety of flowers, and everything just seems to flow. Everything is just beautiful. We're so satisfied.
Now, I've seen some black-eyed Susans over here. They really pop, don't they?
They're one of my favorites.
Yeah, mine too.
And they spread quickly, so by next year they'll just be full. And
Tell us a little bit, Bob, if you can, about the process. What made you even consider Linton's in the first place, and what were the steps maybe leading up to the way it looks here?
Well, I had heard a lot about Linton's, and of course I've seen this show on TV a couple times, but we had a couple of quotes, and I was more interested in doing business with Mark after his first initial contact, because he was very professional, number one. But I think from the concept to completion, the planning and everything was just so well done, and I've got to tell you, it was a wonderful, pleasurable experience dealing with Mark and the entire Linton group. Very professional, very informative, cooperative, courteous, and there's not much more I can say except that we're just extremely pleased with the entire process and the outcome. The result is obviously is what it is.
Well, I know Mark is really pleased with working alongside people like you. I know he's enjoyed this a whole lot, and I think we're going to bring Mark, if he's okay to come back into the show here. Mark, take it away, will you?
Oh, Bob and Helen, appreciate the opportunity for us to not only work for you, but also to share this beautiful new lawn and landscape with all the viewers out there.
What do you think, Helen?
I am just in awe. This is beautiful. Thank you so much.
I don't know if you ever saw the before and after. Did you see the before?
Oh,
Mark
yes, I did.
But this area at one time I think we removed probably around 40 trees from this area. And so Mark started with kind of a rough situation, but it really just, we couldn't be more pleased.
Excellent. Well, very good. I've got to ask you, though, Helen, where in your home are you going to place these? Do you have an idea yet, or do you need some help from Mark?
I'm going to place them on the dining room table, and we're having a large family reunion, so everyone's going to get to see how beautiful everything is. Yeah.
And I think they'll enjoy what they see here, won't they?
They sure will.
Well, very good. Helen, Bob, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Well, Mark, you hit it out of the park again, didn't you?
This has been a great opportunity to work for them, and it's been an awesome transformation here.
Bob and Helen Keller with us here from beautiful Bristol, Indiana. Our lawn and landscape renovation. We've got a whole lot more coming up on the program, so stay with us. We'll be back right after this.